I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High.
But in the kingdom, we're going to have that power like the angels, but we're going to be what you call extraterrestrial. In other words, we're not going to be regular terrestrial like we are right now. Because what happened is, in the ancient world, we had that power. We had that power when we were on a level like gods. But what happened is, the Most High took that power from us. Over the generations and over the years, the Lord took that power from us. But we're going to get that back. We're going to get that power back coming into the kingdom.
I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord. But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
When we think about the kingdom, most brothers think of like the small, minute terms. But the vastness of the kingdom, the greatness of the kingdom, dealing with the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the information alone that we're going to receive when we get to the kingdom, that's on a whole nother level. Never mind the riches and the lands and the women and the children, and to be in your chariot, sipping some yayan, on your chalice, your gold chalice with all them rubies and emeralds and sapphires and the different precious stones, going to places.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
No one, no matter how vivid a brother's imagination is, there's nothing in comparison to what's coming. You can't even imagine. You can't even paint it the picture or write it to words or give an explanation that even comes close to the majesty that's coming. We are destined for greatness in the new righteous kingdom.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
The brother with the most vivid imagination out there can't imagine what the kingdom of heaven has in store, what it's going to be like. What we're basing the kingdom of heaven as far as riches and having a good time and things of that nature is just based off of our experiences in this world and what we think having a good time is and living the life is. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. There are pleasures forevermore at thy right hand. So the kingdom that's coming is going to be set up and established in righteousness. The Israelites are going to be changed. Thy people shall be all righteous. Not one Israelite is going to be lost, because the promise that the Most High made to Abraham was to all that seed. And the seed of the promise went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. Every seed that came out of Jacob is a part of the ones that are going to receive the benefits that the Most High promised the blessed Abraham.
A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down. According to the Holy Scriptures, Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High, is set to bring immortality to the nation of Israel, the elect, via establishing the tabernacle of David, as we talk about the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. He is coming to take down this current world ruled by Esau, Edom, and establish a righteous kingdom, which is synonymous with the throne of David. That's scriptural, which is a government that's going to run this world in righteousness.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bahashem Shah. All right, and what I want to get into this morning, dealing with the morning news, all right, and prophecy, woe to be, or Asia, okay, speaking of, mainly China, all right, which is in the continent of Asia, and show you how, the elites, have been pumping, and funding money, okay, and technology into China, as a prototype, okay, for the New World Order, okay. And let's get that word prototype. See? Prototype. All right, so let's go here. All right, real quick, just looked up that word prototype. All right, so you go into prototype, and it goes into a first typical or preliminary model of something, especially a machine from which other forms are developed, okay, or copied. Okay, so China has been a preliminary model, okay, of something, especially, all right, a machine from which other forms are developed or copied. Okay, and I wonder if you ask, let's go to the chat. Okay, let's go here to, should have a blank chat up. Yep, let's go. See what GPT give us, okay, and see if could China be a proto for a technocracy style digital government. See what it gives us on the chat. All right, there you go. Short answer, yes. Contemporary China exhibits several features that resemble a prototype. Okay, they resemble a prototype for a technocracy style digital government, though it is more accurate to call it a digital enhanced authoritarian bureaucracy rather than a pure technocracy. All right, and it's the same thing. Okay, it says why does China, all right, resemble a technocracy style digital state? Heavy integration of technology and governance. China has built extensive digital infrastructure for governance, nationwide digital identification systems. Okay, we went over Apple ID, which is introducing, okay, the public to the concept of a digital ID. Samsung has it too. Okay, it says AI powers, and see what they'll do. They'll bring it out with AI. I mean, with Apple. Okay, and make it a big thing with Apple and make it seem as if you're missing out, and then it's gonna be a demand for Samsung to come with it, and then Samsung gonna come with it. Then Motorola gonna come with it. Everybody gonna have one. Okay, that's what they do. They create these false demands. Okay, through psyops. Okay, and people beg for their own enslavement. Okay, it says AI powered surveillance network, CCTV, all right, with facial recognition, large scale mobile data monitoring, all right, mobile data monitoring, all right. So that's why you see in America where they're pushing for data centers. Okay, digital payment ecosystem that give the state access to economic behavior. Okay, so with the digital ID, guess what? Your bank account, all right, your internet, when you log into the internet, it identifies, all right, your person, okay, now with your channel or all right, your account. Okay, now they can monitor your behavior, and guess what? That same ID is going to be linked to what? A bank account. Okay, so your behavior, they're going to have direct access, okay, to what? Your behavior, okay, and your bank account. You see, social credit system. China already has it up and running. Okay, it says strong role of experts, engineers, and technocrats. Okay, in policy. The Chinese Communist Party recruits large numbers of engineers, scientists, economists, computer scientists. Many high-level officials have STEM backgrounds, and state planning bodies like the National Developer Reform Commission operate with a technocrat mindset. Social credit experiments. China's social credit initiatives, though often misunderstood, use data aggregation, automated rule enforcement. All right, so AI is supervising China's population. Okay, the algorithm picks up behavior, okay, that's not wanted. All right, and you get all right a social credit score through an AI algorithm. Okay, risk scoring. These systems align with the technocratical ideal that governance can be optimized through all right quantification and algorithmic all right decision making, man. Okay, so we seen that with Kroger. You seen they use AI. I think it was yesterday we watched that video when Kroger fired people via AI. It's going to get to the point to where AI is going to be monitoring. Let's say you work at a company, AI is going to be monitoring you. There's going to be no need for supervisors. All right, you're going to be being monitored by AI. Okay, you see all this sneaking on the phone at work and hiding and ducking off and all that. Nah, AI going to be on it. Okay, and you're gonna be hiding somewhere. You're gonna get that alert on your phone. Fire. All right, take your black ass home. You see, so they are already incorporating AI into everything, getting people used to answering to AI. Okay, you see, this is the type of system that they want to bring, man. Okay, it says smart city governance model. Cities such as Hangzhou, Shenzhen, and Beijing use digital twins. Okay, predictive analytics. Okay, unified urban data dashboard. This support a model where the stats act like a systems engineer managing, all right, and continented urban interconnected urban machine. Okay, so China is the prototype. China is a system that's up and running. Okay, and now they want to catch up the rest of the world. Okay, to where China is. All right, and bring the whole global system into a complete digital, all right, technocracy, man, of complete control. Okay. So let's go here, you know. Uh yeah, nigga on the forklift, you know, the nigga on the forklift kicked up, okay, taking pictures, nigga got a whole time to do a TikTok, all right. You're gonna get that alert, all right, Alexa or Siri, all right, whichever one, okay, gonna fire your ass, all right. Crank up that car for you. Look, that Tesla's gonna pull up at the door for your ass. So as soon as you go out the door, okay, you get right in that Tesla and drive your black ass to the house, man. Okay, there's a system that these devils want to have, man. Okay, but let's go here. Let's get some precepts, and I got a few videos I want to get into. Okay. Uh, so let's go here. All right, and we're commanded, you know, to watch these things, man. So we're gonna continue to watch as these things unfold. Like I say, we're gonna tap into technocracy, man. You know, this is what these devils are doing. You see. So this is Matthew 26:41. This is in the AMP. It says, keep actively watching and praying, all right, that you may not come into temptation, man. Okay, because we have to pray for a spirit to endure in these times, man, to be strong. All right, spirit of discipline, a spirit of trust in our power. Okay, because we're going to be affected by these changes that these devils is getting ready to bring, man. But we have to trust, you know, that the Lord got provisions, man. You know, we're going to lose things. It's going to be uncertainties, man. Okay, we're going to be stripped of certain comforts, and you know, but we know that these things are temporary. You see, so we have to pray, you know, for a strong mind, you know, to be rooted in faith and what we believe. You know, this is why this is the absolute worst time to be confused. Okay, look at the times we in, and niggas are going back to square one about all nations being saved. All right, we in the clutch. Okay, we in. Okay, I know you brothers watch sports. All right, back uh when the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Okay, Patriots and Seahawks, and they was on the goal line, and the nigga threw a slant. You know, this is what niggas is doing in the spirit. 4th and 1, you got Marshawn Lynch in the background. All right, one of the most physical running backs in history. Okay, you see, the nigga was just born to be a running back, and you throw a slant. Okay, on the goddamn a goal line. Okay, and this is what niggas is doing in the spirit. We right here at the goal line, the nigga call a slant. Okay, with all nations can be saved, tripping. Nah, man, we're in the time to be rooted, okay, in what we believe, man. Okay, to be fully persuaded in what we believe, because we're gonna have to stand on that, man. You see, we're gonna have to stand on these things, man. You know. This is Matthew 26:41. It says, keep actively watching and praying that you may not come into temptation. All right, it said actively watching, man. So hey, we're gonna actively watch these things, man. The water, you know, Yahweh Bashim al Shai, you know, for the spirit, you know, that he's put on his men, you know, to be watchmen, man. You know, because you got each brother on their post, you know, watching and keeping the body informed. You know, we keep each other informed on what's going on. Okay, you know, brothers be sending things back and forth, and you know, so it's a network of watchmen that the Lord has established in these times to watch to see what's happening, man. Okay, because this devil has a lot going on, man. So the Lord has his watchmen on watch, man. You know, and all that other madness, you know, we address it, but that ain't the main thing. Okay, it said the spirit is willing, all right, but the body or the flesh is weak, man. You know, and that's why we in the spirit. See, the spirit is looking for the return of Yahushua. The flesh wants to chill and be comfortable in his work. Okay, and if you're in the flesh, all right, this devil has all the leverage on you, man. You know, this devil has all leverage on you if you're operating the flesh. If you're still dominated by the flesh, okay, he's going to set it up to where, all right, you're going to give in to this, man. Okay, what he's about to bring, everyone is operating in the flesh is going to give in to what this devil's getting ready to bring, man. Okay, First Peter 4:7 says, "The end, all right, and the culmination of all things is near." We here. We at the end of our captivity and the end of Esau rulership. Okay, and we have to have this in mind as we go through our uncomfort. Like this is the end of our captivity. It's just the last few, you know, birth pains we got to go through. You know, which is going to be the most intense, and it's going to be more frequent. But then, like I say, when Scripture says when the birth of the child is born, okay, there's no remembrance of the birth pain. Okay, so as we go through these things, just know that once their favor kick in and we're delivered, man, it's not gonna be a remembrance, okay, of the sufferings on this side, man. Okay. It said, therefore be sound-minded and self-controlled for the purpose of prayer, staying balanced and focused on the things of the Most High, so that your communication will be clear, reasonable, pacific, and pleasing unto Him, man. Being on point, being focused, being balanced, man. Okay, it's not time to get sidetracked. Okay, we don't have time for 4 hours. Okay, of hearing niggas gossip back and forth. Okay, I don't care about a nigga text message between him and his baby mama. Okay, or whatever these niggas got going on, man. We not here for. We focus on the prize, man. Okay, hey, we a day closer to them crowns, Akim. Okay, we're a day closer to them crowns, man. Okay. So when you watch this devil and he's steady creeping and rolling out this new world order, man, we know what this means for us, man. So let's go also to here. Let's get this in Isaiah 62:6. All right. This is Isaiah 62:6. It says, "On your walls, O Jerusalem, I have appointed and stationed watchmen, prophets, who will never keep silent day or night." All right, you who profess the Lord, take no rest for yourselves, man. Yeah, man. So the Lord has put the spirit of watchmen on his prophets, man. They will not keep silent, man. That's why it's always just a flood, okay, of reports coming out of what's going on. Okay. Verse 7, it says, "And give him no rest from your prayers until he establish Jerusalem and makes her praise," all right, on the earth, man. Okay. So we here to be watchmen till we can't watch anymore. Okay, and we know when the famine of the word comes, hey, things are gonna speed up, and hey, before you know it, man, we're gonna be in those chariots, man. Okay, and getting ready to come down, all right, to be a praise in the earth, man, not all right, a mockery. Okay. You see? So now, man, the Lord, has put the spirit on watchmen, okay, on particular men. Okay. So no one can say that we didn't know, because the believers, okay, are going to be well equipped, okay, to what time we're in. All right. So I'm gonna go here. Let's play this. Okay. Well, I got a few videos, but let's play this one first. And it shows you how these devils are lying as if they're in some type of AI race with China. China is just a prototype. And they use this China being this big boogeyman, okay, which eventually the China is going to go to war because of the will of Yahweh Shem Al Shai, all right, going to make, these nations come together against Babylon, China being one of them, But what we're seeing now is this propaganda, that China is ahead and that everyone else needs to catch up, which justifies, how rapidly, okay, they begin to roll out AI infrastructure and implement AI, okay, into people's day to day. Okay, so let's play this, all right, and we'll show you that the devil is just goddamn lie, man. Okay.
what they call the social credit system. If any of these family photos, if any of your activities online, if your purchases, if your associations, if your friends are in any way different from what the government or the powers that be of the moment would like them to be, you're no longer able to purchase train tickets. You're no longer able to board an airplane. You may not be able to get a passport. You may not be eligible for a job. You might not be able to work for the government. All of these things are increasingly being created and programmed and decided by algorithms. And those algorithms are fueled by precisely the innocent data that our devices are creating all of the time, constantly, invisibly, quietly, right now. Our devices are casting all of these records that we do not see being created, that in aggregate seem very innocent. You were at Starbucks at this time. You went to the hospital afterwards. You spent a long time at the hospital. After you left the hospital, you made a phone call. You made a phone call to your mother. You talked to her until the middle of the night. The hospital was an oncology clinic. Even if you can't see the content of these communications, the activity records, what the government calls metadata, which they argue they do not need a warrant to collect, tells the whole story. And these activity records are being created and shared and collected and intercepted constantly by companies and governments. And ultimately, it means as they sell these, as they trade these, as they make their businesses on the backs of these records, what they are selling is not information. What they're selling is us.
And see what they're doing with all the data that they're collecting. They're just collecting everything. You know, right now they're collecting this data, they're collecting this interaction, you know, and then they're going to say, well, according to the data that we have on you, you are the pattern that you're going into, you're going to be a problem. Okay. You're going to be a problem. You're going to more likely be against, okay, what we got going on. You're going to be a problem to the new order. Okay. And it's just a way of criminalizing, you know, the masses, man. Okay, this is what the devil is on. So they're gathering all this data and they're trying to quantify a digital you. Okay, like nigga, according to all this data that we have on you, this is what you are likely to do. You know, what they call thought crime. Okay, the minority report type. You know, so they're just all this data just going, and everything they're just collecting. You know, they're getting your patterns, and you know that's why we know that. Look, we in this new world, we know we don't have a place here, man. We first of all, we don't want a place in this current world order. Okay, for sure, in this new world order. All right, but we have to understand that in this propaganda, you know, we're going to be at the forefront. That's why the scriptures say we shall be hated for all men for his name's sake. You know, if a brother want to post it, you know, how we are going to be hated by all men for his name's sake, you know, going into these times. Okay. Because he's just collecting all this data and he can say, well, according to the data, this group, you know, is going to turn into a terrorist group. You know, they're going to be harmful. They're going to, you know, we got to do something now with these guys. You see? Just knowing how the devil works, man. So they're collecting all this data, okay, and they're gonna make it seem as if, okay, according to AI, you know, AI is so goddamn smart, and you know, we can prevent this before it happens. See, we can prevent terrorist groups from forming because we have the data. You know, we can prevent this because we have the data. We can prevent sickness, and then he's gonna present it as if it's just all about helping humanity, man, and safety and all this BS, man. Okay, but it's madness. Okay. Okay. This is this is the book of Matthew 10 and 22. Okay. This is Yahweh's will and testament. Okay. It's it says, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endured to the end shall be saved. Okay, so just know with his AI is going to be, all right, programmed, all right, to extrapolate the believers, anyone that's against his agenda, but specifically the believers of Yahushua. All right, that's why you can go into Chat GPT and ask what GMS teaching and tell you, boom. Okay, you can go into what how should I say about this, and they tell you why, because they're collecting the data, man. Okay, so prepare for, these devils also to use this data, all right, to demonize, and then to back it by, AI and the AI being so intelligent. Okay, we're trying to prevent, safety. We're trying to promote safety and prevent terror and hate. All this madness, man. The same old rhetoric with the devil. So let's play this some more.
Selling our future, they're selling our past, they are selling our history, our identity, and ultimately they are stealing our power and making our stories work for them.
Countries.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Countries are turning to AI into a weapon against the U.S. A new report from Microsoft finds Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea have increased the use of AI to create fake content, spread disinformation, and launch cyber attacks. Joining us now is Ahmed Benafa, a tech professor at San Jose State. Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Andre. Good talking to you.
Let's step back to the Amazon outage here. You heard in that story there were that as much as 1/3 of the global cloud infrastructure is.
So this the propaganda. All right, Russia, China using AI to escalate cyber attacks on the U.S. This is the propaganda. Okay, to create, a panic or a scare. Okay, that allows, the devils in the U.S. You see, to accelerate. All right, implement AI. Okay, and AI advancements in infrastructure. So they give you what these boogeyman, like you're always under the imminent threat of some boogeyman. Okay. And what they're doing is trying to prevent, okay, and trying to secure, okay, the population. Okay. So let's let it play.
Going through Amazon Web Services. That is a lot for one company here. Give us your take on how this all went down.
Well, it's a scary scenario because if you have few companies like Amazon and Google and Microsoft, they have about 90% of the infrastructure of what's going on the internet now. They have three targets. All what they're going to do is just attack one of them, and they're going to cripple so many of the services. I'm telling you that even on the side of the academic Canvas, which is one of the famous, platform for the student to access information about the classes, was down, for the whole period. So what they do is destabilize the trust in the digital infrastructure of the country, and that's going to create a lot of questions.
All right. So I guess my question is, if or just a few companies control, access to some of our important resources, what can be done in the future to prevent something like this from happening, whether it was intentional or not? Because we don't know what happened here with Amazon, I guess.
Absolutely. And this push towards super intelligence is also sucking up a lot of the space.
Now they're interviewing this devil. All right. Which this is the CEO, okay, Alex. I was going to say his name, but he's the CEO of Palantir. Which Palantir is pretty much they're centralizing all this data. So from all these platforms, from everything, anything that has a camera, from your Ring camera to the camera on your phone to camera on the laptop to what you're putting on social media to what you're putting on YouTube to your conversations, your text messages, your interactions. You walk into Walmart, those cameras. You walk into anywhere where there's a camera. There's Palantir wants to centralize all of it. Okay, their whole thing is a software that centralizes all this data of audio, video, all right, and everything. Okay, onto one software. Okay, for the government. That's why you keep hearing about Palantir. Okay, because they want to centralize all this data, okay, across one software, okay, for the government to have at their disposal, okay, for what? AI governance, man. Okay, Palantir is at the forefront of this. All right, technocracy that they're rolling out, because that's going to be like the all-seeing eye. Okay, for the data. You see, so now what he's going to push is as if China, is just so far ahead that they just got to catch up. We need to do what need to be done. They got to catch up. So we need to remove the barriers that government has on AI so we can do what we need to do. Okay, and that's what Trump has been doing
through the networking system. How close are we, Alex, to super intelligence? And I ask that because a consortium of heavy hitters, everyone from Steve Wozniak to Sir Richard Branson to Prince, I don't know, one of the princes, Prince Harry, the Nobel Prize winning AI pioneer Geoffrey Hinton, released a statement calling for a moratorium on developing a system. Hold on, let me put this out there. Developing a system that could surpass human cognition.
Okay, well, now we're moving to the portion that's just me, and I don't want to be, but there's basically the way they look at it and the way I look at it, which is my view, not anyone else's, which is we're in an arms race here. That's all academic, super academic. It's like we're going to either have AI and determine the rules, or our adversaries will have it and they'll determine the rules. And so this is why these infrastructure things are crazy important, because in order to make it work, what do you need? You need infrastructure that can actually run the models, so get the data there in a secure and cheap enough way. You need to make the models actually useful. You need ontology to do that, meaning you have to deploy them where they're useful and where they're not, and orchestrate them. And if you start putting impediments on this, de facto what's going to happen is our adversaries will build it, and we will be buying everything from them, including our ideas of how to run our country. And so, like, my personal version, Palantir, what we represent at Palantir, what we do not impose on anyone else is we're running like hell. And we're going to support anybody, especially people on the front line, who can galvanize this infrastructure, and then our clients in the DoD especially, and help make the American warfighter the most lethal in the world.
Jensen Huang of NVIDIA had said, similar to what you just said, that if we don't develop this stuff, and we don't take the lead in the tech stack of the world, then we are going to lose it to China. So he is for doing business with China. You have never done business with the Chinese government.
We all have our own position on this. First of all, Jensen is a patriot and someone that everyone in the business community, including I, respect. And, we all have differing opinions on this, and we could sit down and probably discuss them. Where I'm sure Jensen Huang and I agree is this is an American dream. This is an American technology. He is a preeminent American with a preeminent, crucial American company. We believe you need ontology and chips to make this work. We supply the ontology. It turns out you also need infrastructure. There are certain components you need to make this work. They happen to be made in America, and we should just focus on making America even stronger and stronger.
But not doing business with China.
Well, we all make their own decisions. Palantir has a long. We started off in the military. We support clandestine service. We're very unique. We at Palantir only work with America and its allies. That's a decision. By the way, it's not everyone's decision. But what's crucial is, we get the American economy to be by far the strongest in the world. And people like Jensen Huang and Palantir and Lumen, we're all marching in that direction.
The issue here is,
so what he's pushing, all right, he's pushing as if America and China, are two different entities, battling for AI dominance, when that's a lie. All right, now let's go here. Let's go here real quick. All right, let's get this and show you the real. All right, it was Patrick Wood. We know he studies these things. Well, let's go here. Let's get the real. Then we're going to get, some history dealing with America and China, and showing you that this is all BS, what these devils are pushing, that there's, this AI race with China for dominance, man. It's all just a fast track, this global system being rolled out. So let's play this here. All right, and then we'll get some history.
that this is what we, and this is what we, the expression of what Brzezinski said in the first place when he talked about America's role in the technotronic era. That's the book that David Rockefeller got excited about. Well, we're in that technotronic era today, and we see all the signs of capture at this point.
It's scary, but trying to even put federal money behind these data centers, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, really. This is very disturbing for sure. You know, when we met, I remember I was still talking about the Trilateral Commission in those days, because I wrote the book with Anthony Sutton in the first place on the Trilateral Commission. These people are still with us. They haven't gone away. And you see them lurking, if you will, in the background on everything that we're going to talk about today, especially AI and other things that might be talking about. These people are ruthless, in my opinion. And what they started out to do in the first place, they said they wanted to create a new international economic order. You might remember that. Well, it's come full circle now, and they're still talking about the new international economic order. As a matter of fact, they had the plenary meeting of the Trilateral Commission 2 years ago in India. A commissioner stood up and he gave a speech. Apparently, they don't release the names of the people, but nevertheless, he gave a speech, and it's reported he said this is the first year. That was 2023. This is the first year of the new international economic order. Here you go, 50 years later, right? That this is what we, and this is what we, the expression of what Brzezinski said in the first place when he talked about America's role in the technotronic era. That's the book that David Rockefeller got excited about. Well, we're in that technotronic era today, and we see all the signs of capture at this point.
It's scary, but I guess some would say, and Trump and his people would argue that, well, we're in this new economic order, but there's still a competition. We're in competition with China. And we have to develop AI first. We have to get there first, because we don't want to be beaten by the communists, do we?
You might remember how much we wrote about China being populated with Western technology in the first place. And the MO at that point was to bring China onto the world stage. Zbigniew Brzezinski was a guy that did that almost single-handedly. And they taught them not free market economics. They didn't teach them about capitalism per se. They taught them about technocracy. So this move to open up China, that was a major first folly, if you will, of the Trilateral Commission to convert the world into something other than capitalism, it's, free market economics, et cetera. Well, can you say today then, if the Trilateral Commission is still backing China, which they are, how can you say we have a race with China when these same people are backing both sides? That's not a race. That's not even a competition. That's just a bald-faced lie. There is no race between us and China. We're in that sense, we're playing on the same team. Now, not we populists, right? But from the globalist point of view, it's all one team.
But Pat,
it's all one team. Okay, so this whole BS about some race against China it's just a lie. That nigga be lying. Okay, when you dealing with Esau, the Esau 101, okay, that nigga be lying, man. Okay, when he gets to talking, that nigga lying. He come out the gate with a lie. Okay, so this whole race, he'll get on Fox, CNN, and just straight lie, straight face, and then he'll lie like the data, like the information ain't out there that this nigga lying. You like, damn, this nigga lied, and it's right here that this. So let's go to, all right, this history, all right, dealing with China, okay, in America, man. Okay, so when you go into, okay, so I asked the chat because I remember it's a documentary, but they won't let me play it. They'll shut the screen down. I had to try to find it, just so I can put it on the chat. But it goes into the history of how America modernized China. So when you go into it, say that America helped modernize China economy, infrastructure, all right, technology. If so, what are the detailed timeline and key figures? Okay, it says yes, the United States, okay, played an important and often decisive role in China's economic, technological, and infrastructural modernization, especially from the late 1970s through the 2000s. Though cooperation has diminished, all right, the cooperation has diminished sharply since the 2010s. Below is a clear timeline, major programs, key figures, and what, all right, exactly the U.S. contributed. Okay, it says, U.S. China, how America helped modernize China. All right, point one, foundations. So from 1972 to 1979, opening the door. Key events: Nixon's visit to China in 72. All right, in which the America just got off the gold standard in 72. Okay, which the dollar was backed by nothing. Okay, became a fiat currency. All right, which enabled them to print as much as they want and still be accepted, okay, as a legal tender to several debts, okay, which was a cheat code for America to just, become filthy rich, man, off false wealth, man. It said reopen diplomatic contact, began limited science and cultural exchanges. It said 1978, Deng Xiaoping launches reform and opening up. China explicitly sought American capital, technology, and expertise. U.S. China normalized in 79. U.S. China normalized relations, signed agreement on cooperation in science and technology, opened the way for U.S. loans, business investments, and academic exchange. Key figures: Deng Xiaoping, China architect of reforms, Richard Nixon, Henry Kissinger, and Henry Kissinger, the devil came up with the petrodollar, made that deal with the Saudis, okay, to only sell their oil in the American dollar, which created a demand for the dollar, which has, played a big part in propping the dollar up today. Okay, it says created diplomatic conditions allowing cooperation. Okay, U.S. contributions early stage, initial scientific exchanges, agriculture, medicines, and physics. American economists advised China on market reforms. Okay, Milton Friedman's lectures in 1980. Point two, technology and education pipeline. Major contributions, technology transfer, and joint ventures. U.S. companies were among the first to invest in early special economic zones. IBM, Hewlett Packard, Motorola, Texas Instrumentals helped build China's electronics manufacturing base. Boeing became China's primary aircraft provider, contributed to aviation training and airport planning. Westinghouse, GE, General Electric, Beechtool, Honeywell helped supply power generation technology, industrial automation, petrochemical engineering, education. The American Brain Pipeline. After 1979, hundreds of thousands of Chinese students were sent to U.S. universities. Many returned and became the nucleus of China's scientific, academic, and tech leadership. Okay, so yeah, hundreds of thousands of Chinese students sent to America to learn, all right, science, academic, and tech, all right, and being shipped back to China to be in leadership position okay, in China. So America cultivated China to be, okay, this prototype for technocracy, man. And it's been in the making for a long time. All right. China didn't just emerge. All right, like in America, making it seem like they just woke up. We got to do something about China. No, America was heavily hands-on and invested in China, man. Okay. But they get on the TV and make it seem as if, China just came up, like, damn, them niggas done came up. We got to do something. No, man, America was there the whole time. All right. Cultivate and investing in China, okay, to be the prototype for this new world order, okay, because they know they couldn't pull it off here in America. America couldn't be the prototype because the way that America was set up, on this idea of liberties and these rights and all this, you know what I'm saying? So it will be too much of a hassle, okay, to try to make America the prototype, but it will be much easier in China, and China has a bigger population. So that's, a major chunk of the world's population already that's been transitioning to this new world order system, which China and India, which both China and India together make up about 35% of the world's population. So you already have 1/3 of the world that's already transitioning to a digital system. When you go into China, okay, and India, plus certain European countries, Sweden been at the front. So you roughly got about 40% of the world's population already, okay, that's transitioning to a digital society. Okay. So this devil, he's rolling this thing out. All right. It says financial and market reforms. American institutions train Chinese officials in modern banking, monetary policy, stock exchange operation. Okay. China opened its first stock exchange market in Shanghai, Shenzhen in 1990. All right. Based partly on U.S. frameworks. Okay. You see? Deep integration of industrial expansion, U.S. as demand engine, the China, all right, export boom. The U.S. became China's largest export market, fueling its manufacturing growth. Walmart alone is often estimated to have accounted for up to 1% of China's GDP through imports. Okay, World Trade Organization, the U.S. actively supported China's entry. Being part of the World Trade Organization allowed, all right, massive foreign investment, export lead growth, all right, and it says export led growth, legal reform to trade, so like your IP competition policy, Silicon Valley, all right. It says Silicon Valley, China's tech spillover. It says U.S. venture capital funded early Chinese tech giants, Yahoo, all right, Saku Capital, IDG Capital, okay, infrastructure support. So it just goes on and on, man. Like goddamn. You see, like America played a major part, man. Okay, like I said, it's just steady going into just how America was heavily invested, man. Okay, into China. Okay, and you go to the summary, said yes, America played a major role in modernizing, so like China's economy from 1979 to the late 2000s by providing technology investments, education, markets, and institutional training, shaping China's rise into a global industrial power, man. Okay, so this BS, like, that they don't fool with China like that. Like, nigga, you fool with China tough. All right, tougher than any, all right, other nation, man. Okay. So like I say, man, it just, straight BS, man. Okay. Oh damn, this brother just okay. It's the brother, Elder Hawaii GMS, North Carolina 777. It says approximately 137 countries are exploring central bank digital currencies, represent 90%, 98% of the world's GDP. Okay, of these, 72, all right, countries are in advanced stages, man. So yeah, that's even more, than I thought. You know, okay, development pilot or a launch 49 running pilot project in 3 countries: the Bahamas, Jamaica, Nigeria, have fully launched a CBDC, man. You know, so yeah, man, just going into it. The devil is already transitioning. He can do it. It's easy to do it in these less developed countries, man. Okay, where it can be more, where it can be less kickback. Okay, because he know he gonna have to wrestle with you niggas in America. Okay, so that's why you're in a economic warfare of attrition. Okay, that's why he's scrapulating wealth. So he needs America in a third world type environment for he really begins to roll this thing out like he wants it in America. Okay, that's why he just constantly extrapolating the wealth. Okay, inflation is on the rise, and he's destroying the job market. See, he's breaking you Americans down. Okay, it's an economic war of attrition, grinding you Americans down before he rolls it out like he wants, and he wants you Americans to purge amongst yourself, man. So he got to bring some chaos to America. Okay, you see, before he really rolls it out here. Yep, like the brother say, Babylon is behind. Look like they saving the best for last. Yeah, man. At the water for that info too, bro. You know, I'm tell Isaiah to tighten up. Every chance he get when you see him, bro. But yeah, so let's get some precepts real quick, man. Some brothers are posting some things that yeah, let's get into that. All right. And then we'll get into that in a second. Ezra's. I got another video to play as well. This is Revelation 17. All right. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 17, and verse okay. I'll read it in AMP, see what it give us. Revelation 17:1 said, Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and spoke with me, saying, Come here, I will show you the judgment, all right, and doom of the great prostitute. Okay. You see, the great prostitute who is seated on many waters, influencing nations. America, man, who sit on many people's influencing the nations, man. Okay, and we just seen how much America has influenced China, but then they hop on, the mainstream media as if China is just, a problem. Like they scratching their heads. So what they gonna do about these niggas, man? Okay, and they do that with everything. ISIS, Al Qaeda, what we gonna do about these niggas, man? And they come up with all these suggestions of what they want to do anyway. Okay, Revelation 17:2 says she with whom the kings of the earth, all right, these other nations, the governments and the leadership of these other nations, all right, committed acts of immorality. Okay, because these nations have they sold out their people. Okay, China, India, and other nations that Jamaica, they've sold out their people to this beast system. Okay, while the few elite of these nations, become enriched. They sold, okay, their people, their citizens over to this beast system. Okay, they push, satanic agendas, and you see, and it says, and the inhabitants of the earth have become intoxicated with the wine of her immorality, man. All right, and you see, China is drunk. America kept China at the bar, all night. And China is all the way in. China is turned out, man. Okay, so let's go here. I got this in the GNT. Okay. This is Second Ezra 15 and 46, it says, "You, Asia, are to be pitied. You are doomed. You have enjoyed, all right, the splendor and glory of Babylon." You see that? The splendor and glory of Babylon, being able to export all their goods to America and be enriched, okay, to enjoy the technology, American technology and infrastructure and loans, okay? You see that? You partook, okay? You're the number one accessory of all these heathens. China is the number one accessory to the crime with America, man. It says you have imitated her and dressed up your daughters to look like prostitutes to please and gratify your lovers who you have always lusted for, man. So China, and they'll say they were sending their students, all right, their prominent students. Because even going into it, China got a system to where you take a test when you get a certain age, man. And if you don't make a certain score, like nigga, you go straight to the factory. Okay, and that's the way they extrapolate their best thinkers to send them over here to America, okay, to get trained up in American ideology, okay, and technology, and you see, and economy, and they bring it back to, all right, China, and those are the future leaders of China. See, they've been doing this for decades, so now the leadership of China, okay, has been completely, okay, turned out by the whore. Okay, and that's why they have so much New World Order ambition in China, man. Okay, it says because you have imitated the vile prostitute in everything she has done or planned. The Most High has this to say. Yeah, so the Most High looking at China like, like nigga, you imitating the whore. I got all this judgment pronounced for the whore, and you imitating the whore, man. Okay, it says, "I will send disasters upon you. I will make you a widow and send poverty, famine, war, and epidemics, all right, to destroy your homes and bring ruin and death, man." So China gonna be jacked up too in this war. They're not gonna be obliterated like America, okay? But China, hey, they're gonna feel the pain, all right, in this third world war. Okay, they're not gonna go away, unscathed. Yeah, they're gonna, and then in this global reset, they're gonna feel, okay, the pain. Okay. So let's go here. I got one more video I want to go into about Shah. About another 5 minutes, Where is it? Okay. So let's go here. All right. Because this is a system they want to roll out. Ever since 2020, these devils, okay, been full throttle, and ever since, the Trump administration has gotten into office, okay, they downshifted again. Okay. So let's play this.
The current pandemic has brought unimaginable devastation to people's lives.
All right, and this is the wicked leadership, all right, which he's just an underling to the elites. Okay. But this I say that scandemic. All right, that scandemic was a precursor for them to really start to roll out, okay, this technocracy and start to implement it in the world. Okay.
Lives, livelihoods, and national economies. At the same time, the green recovery represents an unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset the ways in which we live and do business. Now, I've long believed that we need a shift in our economic model that places nature and the world's transition to net zero at the heart of how we operate, prioritizing the pursuit of sustainable, inclusive growth in the decades to come. Having been championing climate action now for the last, 40 years, I can tell you that this isn't a fight for the faint-hearted. However, increasingly, we are seeing more and more businesses, investors, and consumers prioritizing sustainability and thus creating a much more virtuous circle of supply and demand. By leveraging market forces and the immense resources of the private sector, there is hope that we can transform the situation. But I'm afraid we are literally at the last hour, and there is real urgency for action. We know now what we have to do to rescue the situation, rather than going on talking about it.
They said art takes time. So I told them, nah, I got Artiforia.
Why paint for 12 hours when I can type cat in a tuxedo eating spaghetti?
Joining me now is Ned Ryan, American CEO. Ned, great to see you tonight. It seems that the goal of this crowd is to kind of create the same panic about climate change that they successfully created around COVID. Do I have this wrong?
No, you have it correct. I mean, first of all, we have to accept the World Economic Forum is a fanatical political organization that uses fear and manipulation like COVID hysteria, like the hoax of global warming, to really facilitate people thinking that somehow they're the saviors, but really all you're doing is helping them accomplish their goal, which really is a global public-private fascist movement and fusion of big government, big tech, big money, to create a technocratic ruling elite, which conveniently is them. And really, Laura, if you want to look at a different way too with the World Economic Forum, they want to create feudalism 2.0, in which we are serfs and they are the lords ruling over us. You'll have nothing and be happy is one of the things that comes out of Davos. That's what they're aiming for. They're aiming for feudalism in which we are serfs and we should be happy that they are ruling over us.
That order seems to not be the order anymore. We are on the way to a new order, so we are between orders. Do you agree with that, or are there ways of what are we able to keep on the positive side from the old order to bring into a new world order, and how can we avoid that new world order becomes like a jungle growing back, and we rather have order based on international law and the principles that have brought us prosperity and freedom for decades?
I guess, and maybe this is the old kind of teacher in me coming out. I think of this a little bit more about a transition of eras rather than a transition of orders, but the two are kind of cousins of one another. The reason I draw the distinction is because I don't think the international order built after 1945 is getting replaced wholesale with some new order. It will obviously evolve as it has evolved multiple times over the decades since 1945. But I do think in a more sharp and distinctive way, we are moving into a new era. And that's what I talked about in my remarks, that we are, the post-Cold War era has come to a close. We're at the start of something new. We have the capacity to shape what that looks like. And at the heart of it will be many of the core principles and core institutions of the existing order, adapted for the challenges that we face today.
We fear that there's going to become a collapse. I read the articles now that with Trump's tariffs, there's going to be the end of global cooperation, which could hinder the development ultimately of globalism. And then, of course, we fear that there will be digital totalitarianism and the surveillance state. And then, if that isn't bad enough, I just watched an interview of Elon Musk, And his big concern now is depopulation of the planet. Instead of overpopulation, which the UN is still trying to control, we find that the population of the Earth is actually beginning to contract and get smaller because we're killing off many of our unborn, and we're also sterilizing people so they can't reproduce. And part of the drive for the gay relationships, the LGBT community, is they don't reproduce. That's one of the things we know about people who marry people of the same sex. Their capacity to reproduce is greatly reduced. That's because I took introductory biology. And if the depopulation thing isn't the scariest thing, because we know historically that countries or nations or states which shrink in population actually shrink in power and influence. The most wealthy, successful countries in the world are places like Singapore, where they have people hanging out all over the place. They're most densely populated, and yet they're the most economically efficient and successful because they actually deal with that issue in a positive way. And I mean, you pile all that, and then you throw on top of all of this stuff, you've got Donald Trump, an existential threat to greed, waste, criminality, and so forth. Anyway, when you add all these crises together, whether real or whether perceived, because I'm not saying that none of them have any validity or any degree of validity, but when you throw onto it the things like unemployment and lockdowns and infodemics, inflation, illegal immigration, mass civil disobedience, riots, random violence, unpunished crime, racial jihadists, cultural and religious divisions and Nazism and things calling for the dumping of the Constitution or dismantling of the culture with BLM, Antifa, Islamic commie Nazis. When you have all of this stuff going on, is it any wonder that so many people feel so anxious, so stressed, even so angry, fearful, and insecure about the future? Now, part of that is diabolical in the sense that if there's anything that Satan wants to do is he wants to disrupt order. He loves chaos. And that's the thing, is that chaos creates confusion, and confusion creates a collapse of a culture. And when the culture collapses, then more powerful entities can come in and take control. It's a simple plan, whether you're talking about Zelensky or the communists or the Nazis or anybody. They just have this whole thing, create confusion, that leads to chaos. Chaos will lead to a collapse of a culture. People become divided and distrustful of each other, every man for himself, and then somebody needs to come in and bring overall control.
All right, and this is what this system, is going to promise. So he's intentionally creating the collapse, the division, the distrust, the chaos, and he's rolling out a system. Okay, as he's creating the chaos, he's rolling the system out. Okay, so when chaos reaches a certain point, till people are desperate, divided, all right, he can say, well, look, we found the solution. We got a solution. Okay, this new system is going to eliminate poverty. It's going to eliminate inflation. It's going to eliminate crime. Okay, it's going to eliminate, division. Okay, we all going to be one great, prosperous utopia. Voila, here you go. Okay, and this is what the devil is doing, man. In a simplified form. So let's go here. See the brother posting a few things. So let's get a few off the comment board. Yeah. This is the brother Elder Hawaii, GMS North Carolina, 1 Thessalonians 5:1. But of the times and the season, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. Okay. So we know what time it is. That's why, as we were saying earlier, the Lord has raised up prophets. Okay. The Lord has his prophets and watchmen raised up. We know what time we in. Okay. The Lord made to where we wouldn't be out here lacking when it comes to knowing where we stand. All right. In prophecy, man. Okay. Verse 6, it said, therefore let us not sleep as do others. Okay, even those that know they're Israelites, we see the Most High is rocking them to sleep, keeping them distracted with vanity. Okay, to where they don't understand what time we're in. Because if you really understood what, if someone understands what time we're in, they don't have time for their foolishness, man, to entertain their garbage, man, that Jake be on. Okay, especially the things, you know, of this world. All right, as we see where we at. Okay, verse this is Isaiah 42:9. It said, behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them, man. So the Lord has been putting it in the spirit of the prophets to tell you these things before they sprung up. Apostles and elders been speaking of these things, man, and now they're happening in real time. Okay, the Lord shows his power through prophecy. Okay, and he has his prophets to declare his prophecies, man, what he's going to do in the earth. All right, Yahweh's will and testament, Isaiah 46:10, declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure, man. Okay, so we're, you know, watching, you know, the Lord do all his pleasure, okay, in the earth, man, through prophecy. Okay, and it's leading to, all right, the transition of kingdoms. Okay, Esau thinks that he's transitioning from his old world to a new world, but the Most High transitioning from the world of Esau completely, okay, into, all right, the age of Jacob, okay, which is going to be forever. All right, matter of fact, since I got the GNT pulled up already in the second Esdras, let's get that, you know. And I like the way that it's worded in the GNT. You know, we ended here on Baratazah. Okay, so this is the book, okay, from second Esdras. Let me pull it up. You know. All right, this is the book of second Esdras, chapter 6 and verse 7. It says, then I ask, how long a period of time will divide the ages? When will the first age end and the next begin? He answered, the interval will be no longer than between Abraham and Abraham. So it's going to be in one lifetime. All right, this transition. Okay, he was the grandfather of both Jacob and Esau. And when they were born, all right, Jacob was holding Esau's heel. Okay, so this second Esdras chapter 6, all right, verses 7 through 9 in the GNT. And it says, Esau represents the end of this age, and Jacob represents the beginning of a new age. Okay, so we're in the transition of ages, man. You know, when Esau, he's deceived as if he's transitioning from the old world, his old world order, to a new one. But no, we're transitioning from the age of Esau to the age of Jacob. Okay, you know, so we're in beautiful times, man. All right, so that's the point. I think the point was made, you know, Lord will. All right, you brothers. Okay, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutations, hopefully, Shalom.